So hello everyone. It's great to have all of you join us for an exclusive webinar, the Omnichannel Odyssey. This creates I would say, a seamless e-commerce experience, the Omnichannel that we are talking about. I am Nikhil Sharma, Director of Operations and Business Development at Grizzy Interactive, with an overall experience of nearly 19 years. And I have expertise in project management, web, agile environment. I have been working on global deliveries and technologies. So I'm here to share my insights today. And I would also like to welcome my fellow speaker for today's webinar is Dan Kaparaski. He's Director of Digital Product at Archipelago Companies. He has over 15 years of experience in product management, user UI interface design, SEO, and I'm pretty sure he tries in operational excellence and strategy growth through his innovative, his creative, and collaborative partnerships. So hey Dan, welcome to the webinar.
Thanks, Nikhil. I appreciate that robust introduction. As you said, head of digital for Archipelago Companies, which is owner and operator of 4 apparel retail brands, global in our space. And yeah, my background was originally in product management, moved over to e-com about 7 years ago, and obviously been driving that omni-channel evolution. As once we hit 2020, everyone moved to e-com, and now the shift is back to how do we drive that unified experience. And so yeah, kind of been doing that and building out my strategy and working with numerous brands in the industry to kind of grow, fuel their growth by a seamless interactive experience between channels. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Nikhil.
True, great, Dan. And I just wanted to bring out that 2020 brought a bigger, I would say, step in this omni-channel and e-commerce industry. That was like a humongous step. I can really vouch for that. So yeah, that was the year for change for all of us there.
Yeah, I think everyone in the industry got super excited about D2C and was like, how quickly can we go? And then, we saw some brands in recent years have challenges of fueling their D2C channel and not servicing, whether it's their marketplaces or their wholesale partners and even their retail stores. So we're trying to have a good balance and, really, think of that strategy holistically, across the portfolio and making sure, every touch point the customer interacts with is, on brand and, the highest valuable experience for them.
True, and we all are always happy once the customer is happy. So I wouldn't say that the changes and the foothold, the credit goes to the customers that we serve. I can say that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're trying to drive NPS scores, but improve conversion rate. To me, even though I'm head of digital, I want that same experience to happen in the retail store that happens when they come to our website. Really, each touch point should show the brand in the highest possible light. It should be the same experience. If you're going to the marketplace like Target or Amazon, they should be experiencing the same price, the same high quality, and obviously the same value that they get from the other channels.
Perfect. So I think we can talk full day on this, but let's get started, Dan. With the webinar, I think we will just have a quick interaction for the challenges what we faced, the team faced, and how we overcome with the solution, with the product, with the right strategy, and we moved on. And we'll try to touch base few key pointers from your past experience, and also if time allows us, so probably we'll take one of the case study as well as a few AI topics that if we can really talk about. So here we go. In the last 5-7 years, Dan, the omnichannel concept has become the critical strategy for all the businesses looking to evolve and have better customer expectations, right? And the research shows that nearly 70% of these consumers use multiple channels during their shopping journey. As a customer, I do myself. So e-commerce business that employ such omni-channel approach has experienced humongous growth, like nearly 500% in the higher order rate, and then in comparison to when people were just going through a single channel. So, and not this only this strategy, but Omnichannel customers also provide an impressive lifetime loyalty of more than 30%. That's nearly to 30%. So rather than the single customers. Single channel customers. So these statistics clearly highlights the shift that has been taken in buyers' behavior, and customer now expect seamless and consistent sort of a behavior for all across the touch points, whether they are like in store or online. They need to be associated with the brand. So delivering this seamless experience, I'm pretty sure, can be a huge task and uphill battle for all of us managing bigger e-commerce channels. So while utilizing, the question comes here now. So while utilizing these multiple channels, when the customer faces some disjointed experiences, they are like losing their touch points, they are disconnected, either it's on the front end or the back end when the user goes from channel to channel, and they lack, sometimes they also lack personalized communication and also inconsistent pricing. So then what do you think as a business, like if you have to share your experience, like you have implemented so much in your career, so how can businesses tackle these challenges associated with, I would say, disconnected, disjointed customer experience?
Yeah, no, thanks, Nikhil, for setting the stage there. It's definitely a lot to that. I mean, there's a lot of points that we can go into, but I think you're right. Like, people are, I know when I go into a store, I'm immediately going onto their website and looking things up, determining if you can get the same price in store, or even looking at, a marketplace and really checking, all right, is this the best value? I'm here, but you're almost using it as a showroom to kind of look for the best price after that. So you really want to make sure, the price piece is on point, and obviously the other points of delivery and things and those type of things. But really, disjointed customer experience kind of comes from the ground up. A lot of times we've built these businesses, on flows we mentioned in the beginning. During COVID in 2020, everyone pushed to e-commerce, and they already had a retail business or they had a wholesale business, and there was no holistic strategy. So a lot of these channels were disintegrated. The verticals that these brands look at, each one of them has run by a different department, or it's a different set of management. So that disintegrated channels, really that leads to disjointed offline, online experiences where each of those pillars have different values, and again, they're never going to see eye to eye if those teams aren't talking to each other. Another big one is siloed data. I think data is king. Creating a unified offline, online experience, and I've been challenged with here at Archipelago. The wholesale teams look at one set of data from a different tool, and the e-commerce and retail teams look at another one. So I've spent the last year trying to unify that view, that everyone's comparing that and looking at the same thing. And then it comes down to process. Processes aren't consistent across the channels. You're never going to have the same experience. A lot of our traffic on the web comes from, whether it's Meta or Google ads. If those aren't aligned and they're sending to a site that looks completely different, if it's not a consistent landing page with the products they're reviewing, or what the hook was on the marketing message, there's going to be a disjointed experience there. We also have challenges with outdated technology. I think as being ahead of digital technology and platforms, to me, are key. You want things that speak to each other in your digital ecosystem. And then that also leads to, the inadequate integrations. Sometimes, some of these platforms are really great on their own, but maybe they don't talk to your e-commerce backend. They're not plug and play. It's a lot of customization. You get lots of data that way. You won't have real-time data to act on. And really just slows down, the entire process. So that's been a challenge that I've been trying to tackle here. And then, the strategy from up top. I think everything is disjointed if, the teams are aligned from the get-go with, the same goals and KPIs to be managed on. We have our Amazon channel separated from our e-commerce website channel. Now, really, it's direct to consumer, and how do we, create the same experience across that? So that's another thing we've been working on, and really trying to look at that, the customer's experience and how they actually interact with our brand, not from the brand side. So that's another big one as well. So all that being said, well-integrated omni-channel strategy where you're breaking down the silos, creating that unified shopping experience no matter the touch point. if they're coming to our website, if they're coming in store, if they're at a third-party retailer, or even if they're browsing on social media, they all need to be aligned to really create the best experience for the customer.
True, I totally agree on this, and I just want to add here, I still remember those were the days when you just used to go to a store and let's say a physical store, and you used to buy, and as a curiosity's sake, as a customer, you used to just go ahead and check online, is it like in the same price or different? So the price was totally a mismatch, and the over the counter, when you just go to register, so they will probably say, okay, you can go ahead and buy it online and probably get the better deals. So to remove such experience, I think that requires a lot of technology to come in play, and yeah, you need to have the cohesive team to work together.
Yeah, and it creates challenges too. If you think of yourself as just an e-commerce web business, you can play with pricing, try to optimize that conversion rate. But, if you're selling in other marketplaces and areas, the customer goes and pulls up their Amazon account and sees it at a lower price, the sale's going to go over there. So you really got to plan ahead and make sure the business is aligned as a whole to create that experience. I think it was Best Buy was one of those companies that will match the lowest price quality, and you imagine the technology and headaches that would create going in, someone coming in, some random store has an even lower price. So it's protecting the brand too. So there's a marketing piece of it, a brand strategy that you really got to keep in mind. So, as much as a lot of this can be done by technology and the digital teams, everyone needs to be aligned across departments.
True. Absolutely. I take your point, and that's the way. I think to address, moving on, I think how we can capture and establish customer journey. That's the way I think this omni-channel strategy can be looked into. So to address these challenges, businesses just need to step in how a customer or consumer really thinks, and stepping into their shoes would help them define and design the customer journey that can come into play. And it's not only just for the sake of doing it, it's a very strategical tool that give you a complete visual impact, or how this journey, different stages can be broken into, and consumers can really interact with the brand. And not only for, I would say, pre-sales, but post-sales too. So such engagements can really help you. So how do the businesses map out such multiple touch points and these interactions across devices, across platforms, and in the omnichannel customer journey? Dan?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I think there's two main pieces to it that we look at. There's the interaction channels and the customer touch points. Those are two very separate topics that interact together, but I think a lot of people don't look at them, as separate entities. The interaction channels is where, the customer interacts with the brand. Now, these can be bi-directional, as we talk about, like a live chat or a virtual agent on site. So there's give and take. You think of how your customer service team interacts, with a customer. And then that's also true on social media platforms. You have, you may put a post up, but there's direct messaging and touch points like that, whether a customer is asking about a product, or they're, asking about their order. You have to be prepared to respond in the same manner you would as if they called you. So it's a challenge when teams, do something different on social media. And then there's the unidirectional side of things, where we're sending out a mailer, we're advertising. You think of the more TV, any sort of marketing where it's talking at the customer and that you don't have a chance for feedback. I think we've definitely evolved a lot more into the bi-directional. Almost every touch point, I think of now, there's some way where it's going to come back to you, whether it's in a survey later or something like that. You're always going to try to gather that information, and the more data we can get first party from the customer, the better. So that's the interaction channels. And then we have the customer touch points. And that's pretty much anywhere that they actually engage with the brand. So we look at the customer touch points in three ways. You have whatever device it's on, especially if it's digital, the channel of interaction. Is it on our website? Is it on Marketplace? Is it social media? And then the task, are they coming, browsing product? Are they coming with intent to buy? Are they coming for customer service where they, post-purchase type of transaction? So there's definitely different types of tasks there, but we try to look at each of those and map those out to really identify which of these touch points are we seeing issues. Are there places where we're lacking in cohesive branding? I think, again, as we get back to the omnichannel, it comes back to branding there. And then, we take that and then we actually all map it all out. So we'll start with reviewing all these touch interaction channels and then the touch points and putting them on a mind map or a Miro board and kind of go through, all right, what does this journey actually look like? We'll take data from, our customer data platform, our support logs. We'll, you can glean a lot of data just off of, we use Shopify, and you look at the, you have the customer interaction, which landing page they land on. Did they go directly to a product? Were they browsing? How much time was spent on site? There's so much data that we're trying to synthesize to truly, analyze this touch point. We'll also do, things that collect zero-party data, like post-purchase surveys, ad hoc surveys. Really ask the customer, get more of the detail of where they came from, what were the touch points that they saw. Post-purchase surveys have become more and more important, as we try to, browser protections and things like that, incognito mode, pop-up blockers. We don't get the data that we used to 5 years ago. So post-purchase surveys is the way we kind of dive into, what brought you to our site, with the intent to purchase. Was it an online ad? Was it a TV spot that we ran on digital streaming? Those are the type of things that, really help us determine, are all these touch points working well? We're collecting that data. And then we also do NPS is a big one for our brands. We send out NPS surveys post-purchase, post-return and post-warranty claims. So we're trying to collect it from different types of interactions, but if they give us a good or a bad rating, we're asking follow-up questions. What was the reason for the rating, and trying to dig just a level deeper so that we can inform whether it's our product teams that there's some issues with the way one of our shoes fit, or if there's an operational issue as far as tracking and sending orders. It took 5 extra days that we didn't realize, and so we use that to drill in and do some trend analysis to find how that omni-channel experience is going across the board. So I guess that was a lot of the different touch points on the internal investigation that we do, but then we also work with assumption maps. This will help outline, pain points, and, basically using all that data that we just synthesized. We have e-com teams and BI teams, that work not just on the digital side, but across our wholesale and retail teams to determine, where these trends have existed, where did they start, and are there pain points that we can tackle, really what is the best way to improve that experience. So that's the internal work we do. We've engaged with external third-party surveys and consultants and research firms to really identify the customer, what is our core customer, what is their demographic, where are they generally coming from. Some of those things that, is super important when we're building our omni-channel experience as far as digital and retail. We need to know as much as we can about who our core customer is, and that helps. And then the last part is, we visualize everything. We use our CDP right now. We do funnel analysis tracking to see which UTMs and links, the customer came from. Was it social? Was it an ad? And then we track them through the funnel and see where they dropped off or where they went to convert it. And, we really try to dial in and optimize that experience from there. And then we'll also dig in. We use Microsoft Clarity for heat mapping, and we will review, our team, each brand will review once a week a log of the heat maps, where are customers spending their time on the pages, what are the most interacted buttons that they're clicking. That's really on the digital side, but it kind of helps illustrate, where the customer is thinking. And then again, we tie this all back to one customer data platform, and then we use Tableau for reporting to kind of pull it all together and synthesize those insights for the teams that are doing the action and the strategy work, and then also for our executives to show, these are where we need to invest more, or these are the pieces of the journey that the customer is falling off of.
True. I totally agree here, Dan. There's nothing to disagree about that. So just again, on top of a question on this, like in field of product management, as you have a lot of experience there, so such strategies, would that work for all type of B2C products, or the journey needs to be very much customized according to the product, which I assume it should be. So do you really consider for the product managers out there, let's say the people listening to us, so would they be more cautious about if the product is of a different nature?
Yeah, I think there's totally different experience. My most recent experience, with here at Archipelago and at Board Riders previously is with apparel and fashion. So you're thinking about, we were, mid to lower price points, but if you're looking at, high end, luxury goods or, even like services, you're going to have a different approach to this. Not everything is as critical, but also sometimes you have a very specific price and positioning, whereas, sometimes in apparel, there's a ton of e-commerce and apparel brands out there. You're gonna get lost across there. So if you haven't spent this time, you're gonna struggle. And then again, if you're sell one very specific good, or even you think of like electronics, that can range from low end, something cheap, easily replaceable, or it's a supercomputer or something like that, where you have one price. You're gonna approach it slightly differently. I think there's a lot of D2C retailers out there that approach it the same way. So it's a tried and true method, but I think you can apply at least the high level principles to the other genres as well.
True. So we move on from high end principles that should be basic, but yes, once we get into the product, it should be more customized as per the product, what type of nature of product is. Correct. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. So thanks, Dan. I think that's a wonderful breakdown for channels, how we should move for the strategy, what type of customer journey we can visualize, and how you analyze the heat maps, where the customers are moving from website to website. So that's wonderful to hear. And now we can delve into how customers' expectation have evolved in this omnichannel. We have given the strategy, and customer also evolves with the technology. So the more you give to the customers, they will demand more from the technology company, I would say, and from e-commerce client. So today's consumer, they just not only look for, I would say, the products, the services they do, but they also expect one seamless behavior, one personalized experience across the channel where they can really interact and they feel safe too. So they also want, again, pricing matters most for majority of the customers, the availability in certain geographies, product is how personalized it is. So the business, I think, should ensure that the brand voice, which they're sending the messages, channels through different channels, the unified approach could be there, the touch points, and any inconsistency will surely lead to the trust issues, the frustration, and customers might leave that channel and go somewhere else. So personalization, I think, is the key for folks to really leverage the omni-channel strategy, and the goal to create such a cohesive journey where customers feel valued and understood at every interaction is must. So Dan, could you share how these businesses can effectively optimize the omni-channel strategy integration? How can they do that?
Right. Yeah, no, there's definitely several points to that. I mean, it starts with the basics. I think with any business, and again, with there being that explosion of e-commerce and retailers out there, it's not the same brands where it used to be. It used to have just like a Nike and Adidas and footwear. Now we have our Olakai brand. There's all these startup brands out there. So you really want to start with your positioning and your market fit. Who is your target customer? What is your audience, and really identify that. That needs to be clear. I don't think the days are gone where you could just be like, everyone's my customer. That's not a winning approach. We want to have a target audience. And I still get people, even in our own companies that are like, well, we want to be appealed to everyone, but then if you appeal to everyone, you actually appeal to no one. So you want to start there. That's a fundamental marketing basic. And then, the next step, from the omnichannel perspective, is determine where customers spend their time. does your core demographic, are they shopping in consumer malls? Are they online? Are they of a generation where they're on TikTok? You really want to figure out where they spend those time. And then, what type of devices are they using? I think our traffic for our brands right now is 70% mobile, 30% desktop. So, that's shifted over the past 10 years or so. And, we design with mobile first, but, there are certain products and, businesses where maybe your client is the everyday person who's working a 9 to 5 on the computer. So you really want to figure out where they're shopping. Again, what social media they're using. I think that's just going to grow and grow. We've seen that shift over the past 15 years of starting with Facebook in the beginning, and now we have all these other channels. And so really figure out where they're shopping. And then once you have these things identified, you have your target audience, where they spend their time, what devices they're using, and their shopping habits. Then you want to figure out what's your branding. And, as we talked about those customer journey mapping and, all that, you want to define your brand and define what that branding looks like, whether it's the online experience, like we have a web style guide for all of our brands, or what's the email marketing look like, it should all speak together. So working on that branding across channels and making sure that, whether it's being sold on a marketplace, you have guidelines in place so that your product is displayed in the same manner. You really want to hold those third parties accountable as much as yourself. We have challenges. We have our own retail stores, so they got to also be on brand and showing the same experience. And then once you have that all defined, start identifying the pain points and opportunities for improving any interactions across the funnel. I think a lot of my team's work is reducing friction and optimizing conversion, and it's easy. That's an easy one on the digital side, but where's those pain points when you look at retail stores and third-party marketplaces? And then you want to do as much of this upfront as possible. And I think we alluded to this earlier, that a lot of brands weren't built from the ground up. Everyone is kind of adding these new channels on top of it. So you got to constantly be evaluating. No website's ever done, no channel's ever perfectly optimized. The name of the game is, we could always be improving. And then things change, whether it's, you're installing a new shipping partner, 3PL logistics has changed, or maybe there's even cross-border trade changes. You got to adapt, and you got to constantly looking at the experience and reevaluating, looking at the data, determining, is there friction? Are there reasons that a customer won't come back and shop with us? We had an example. We moved Olukai, our footwear brand, we moved their primarily e-com distribution to Canada, right across the border. And then we, would ship it across the border and then out to the rest of the US. While this saved us some money in the short term, we were realizing that the online experience from shipping from above the border in Vancouver to the East Coast of the United States was taking 5 to 7 days. So even though we were saving some money, we were losing it as far as our NPS scores and the customer experience. And, they were like, well, why would I order from the direct-to-consumer website again? I'm just going to go to Amazon and get it in 2 days guaranteed. So it's things like that you want to constantly be evaluating and determining where is the friction in the journey. Something may look good in one aspect, but if you don't look at it from a 360 view, you may be missing some parts of the trouble from the consumer perspective. So that's kind of the, like building it from the ground up. Then once you're there, you could take, customer support and post-purchase become the two things follow up once you get through that sale. Our customer service team for Olukai is called the Aloha Experience team. And their job is to, strive to make the customer happy, reduce that friction, and really ensure that, the brand is put in the best positive light. So we have, staff on site who are here to answer questions. They respond to emails with under, I think we have a return time of under 8 hours, and then, they're available on the phone. And then we even installed a virtual AI chat agent that can do returns exchanges, answer product questions, and complete warranty claims. And, again, that gives us, 24-hour, 7 days a week, multiple language support, and still speaking in that brand language. We've trained it to, speak, really talk in the same way that all of our marketing is. And I think that's helpful for creating that omni-channel cohesive experience, from not just purchase, post-purchase, and then, customer service. So those all together worked to refine the omni-channel strategy. And then, we keep trying to expand in other areas. What are these other touch points that we can grow and improve the experience? So that's just a little bit of some of the stuff we've been doing.
True. I think very, very well explained, Dan, here, I think. And you just took the right point that, yeah, in the short term, you might be saving a lot of money, but eventually when you come back from the whole journey and you take perspective from each and every team, so you might be ending on the losing side, which nobody would want, right? Yeah. And very nicely explain how the cost was saved. So I think that's a good point. That's generally how you take care of customers. And yes, cohesive team inputs, 360 view would obviously create the winning strategy for this omni-channel build-up. So the next question and next topic that we were just discussing now revolves around this similar sort of thought process. Like, if we have executed omni-channel to the best and rewards businesses, I think there are a little struggle with the implementing these challenges, like integration of data. They might be having consistent branding, seamless coordination. So anything that we need to make sure that we keep in mind and we do not just let the things fall through the crack, and we have the winning omni-channel strategy. Any pointers you want to share from your consideration?
Yeah, no, there's definitely some challenges. And as I said, it's a constant battle. So, you need to have the foundation set. So I think the first thing is, data integration and data cleanliness, that the data that you have that you're feeding into, whether it's your customer data platform or your BI tools, it is comparing the same thing across channels. We have our wholesale teams, when they feed their data in, they don't look at returns in their data, but our e-commerce business, that's a key metric. So we had to make sure, go in and, review our setup and make sure that as we're feeding into dashboards and tables that people are actioning business decisions on, that the data is the same. It's being pulled from every place possible. We pull all of those social channels and third-party marketplaces. We try to pull as much of that data into the same place as possible. We've built out, we're in the process of building out a data lake. So all data is fed into one central repository, and then we can feed our other channels back and forth through that. So I think, again, data cleanliness, data centralization, and data management, is a key. Your reporting is only as good as the data. And if you have bad inputs, you're going to have bad outputs and you're going to make bad decisions. So I think that's key across all the touch points in the omni-channel journey. I think another one I think we touched on a little bit is consistent branding. I work closely with not just the e-com and digital side of the house, but I make sure that marketing's involved when we're, standing up a new engagement platform, or, there's a new landing page on the site. Like, everyone has to be on board as we're building out these campaigns. That it's not just, we have one set of guidelines, we're going to be evolving. So, having that branding elements online. And then when we're dealing with our marketplaces, they have our brand guidelines, so that, we're seeing the same messaging, the same colors, same fonts. We want everything to look as similar. And then obviously in stores, we spend a lot of time on our retail stores. They're very almost showrooms. So, we have the most branding there. And so we want to put that in the best light. And then, we need to kind of maintain and train everyone across these channels. So, you have customer associates in store, we have our customer service online. Again, it's having everyone working off the same sort of scripts. You can't have, one division write the scripts for, the customer service team. And then, in store, we're doing something completely different. And then another challenge is policies, making sure that your policies align depending on the channel. We try to make our warranty claims as simple as possible, with our goods. And, no matter where you bought it from, you're going to have the same experience when you go to replace something, or if, you have a question. So I think that's another key one. And then channel optimization. I think we're consistently innovating and integrating. We evaluate the performance, not just based on, revenue and performance, but based on, what is the conversion rate, what are the touch points, and how is the UX designed, and can we optimize even better. An example with our brand Rourke, which is an outdoor lifestyle brand, we actually just launched a redesign of their site last week, and so this was 4 months in the making. We were super excited, all happy to push it live, but immediately, we celebrated real quick. Everyone got around to high fives, and immediately it was like, all right, let's keep testing the site. What are the places that we want to make improvements? Are there bugs on the site? We've been monitoring heat mapping all weekend. Are people falling off on the mobile experience? So it never ends. The website's never done. We even kicked off A/B tests to determine, what's working, what's not working. So again, we're just trying to optimize that channel. We do the same thing on our social ads and paid media. We use a Northbeam, and we're constantly tinkering with our ad formats and the creative, and determining, all right, this ad worked for this particular product, didn't work for this one. Can we change the format? What's the best way to improve there? It's never ending. I think there's always, if you take one thing away, there's always places to improve and reduce friction. And it's just a constant day-to-day part of the job that we do to really kind of improve and optimize. The name of the game is optimization. So I think those were some of the points as it relates to, the struggle points. What else on that front?
Great. I think you rightly mentioned, I think now the omni-channel strategy is somewhat already in the making, and now we want to make sure, as you rightly said before, we were just talking for this question, the conversions, to make sure the customer is back on the channel. He or she is using it very optimizedly. So for this, I think to make sure that strategy to boost the sales and conversion, the omni-channel marketing is required, and it should be utilized either via social media, emails, in-store promotions. We have, I think, pamphlet in-store promotions. We are just giving discounts. We are making sure the different stages of journey are being tapped. So this strategy for sure will give businesses more to connect with the customers, right? So Dan, can you share some examples of businesses that have successfully navigated these considerations and the technologies that can support omni-channel initiatives?
Yeah. I mean, omni-channel initiatives, definitely, it starts with your, customer relationship management software or customer data platform, CDPs. That's where, all of that customer data goes. It helps provide, the comprehensive view of not just the individual interactions, but, you can do trend analysis and determine, what are the promotions that are working. If you're running discounts or giveaways, do you do a free shipping promo, so the CDP is highly important from that. And then, that's something that we use as a retailer and in apparel. I mean, I think that's critical. So we were talking about before, what are the things very specific to our industry? I think in e-commerce, it's a key, it's truly a key pillar of where we first look to diagnose, all right, where's the friction in the consumer journey? And because we're also pulling in our wholesale data, our Amazon users and our retail in-store purchases, we have a comprehensive view. So I think that's a good one, is the CDP and CRM software. The next would be, marketing automation tools. Think about engagement software. What are you sending for emails, SMS, push notifications? We're currently on Klaviyo, and we utilize it, in all of those ways. And we can segment users. We're able to automate personalized campaigns as far as, if they purchased one type of footwear before, we can send them something of a similar size, or even if if they're into sports, we have golf and other type of footwear. So, we could totally personalize the experience across channels. And the nice thing with those tools is because it, plugs in with our offline channels, we can also notify those users if they provide an email or some sort of identification. So again, unifying that experience across the two different channels. So it's definitely a key with marketing automation software, engagement tools. And then the e-commerce platforms, I mean, I think that's foundationally the biggest one that helps drive omni-channel experience, you know, whether it's an all-in-one solution like a Salesforce or a Shopify where you can do POS, you can do in-store sales, you can do online sales, you can do B2B. So you're really touching all aspects and all types of customers. But, you know, it allows you to do things that we're just starting to dip our toes into with our newer stores is buy online, pick up in stores, shipping from the store. If something is, you know, customers looking for something that's in their area, we can get it to them faster, or even shipping to a store. So, you know, reserve online, pick up in store. So there's a lot of opportunity there. You know, we've leveraged Shopify heavily on that front. And it's been really successful with all the additions they've rolled out. So we're big fans of that right now. And then I think analytics and reporting, we only touched a little bit on BI, but, you know, how are we, you know, analyzing customer behavior, using predictive analytics, determining the success of a campaign. You know, it's different across channels. We'll release a new set of footwear in the summertime. They may perform great here in California, may be even better in Hawaii, but if it's, you know, a rainy summer in the middle of the country, it's not going to perform there. So, you know, you really need to kind of look at your reporting and analytics across all different types of ways. And we're starting to leverage AI on that front to kind of help us surface some of those insights of, you know, where things were successful, where things weren't. We also use it on our social media channels to determine, you know, like which campaigns are performing the best. You know, each of the platforms that you use, whether it's social, it's our e-commerce platform, it's our engagement marketing tool, they all have different analytics tools, and like they have their own set of reporting. So my big push is, how do we have all those insights in one place? You know, are they in our BI and reporting tools? Can we pull that all in together so that we're not trying to check, you know, 5 different sources to determine if a campaign was successful or not? So that's definitely a key. It's just unifying where that reporting's going and how it's being done. So.
Yeah, Dan, I think, like you said, so now when you have so much of data, I think I'm just asking you very impromptu here. Like, if you have so much data, how do you evaluate the data security? How important that data security is for you? You have a lot of payments happening all across your platforms. You have customers' personal information. You make sure that this is kept to you, and how do you make sure that it's very much well integrated and the users are trusting you?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of trust, obviously, if you think about it from a customer perspective, that you're going to input your payment data and assume it's secure. You know, I think, you know, Shopify just released one page, their checkout extensibility. So now if you're on a Shopify site, everyone's checkout looks generally similar. So that kind of hopefully gives the customer a little bit of little guarantee that it's going through something valid. But really, you know, it's a lot of compliance, and, you know, we have tools for it. You know, we have a GDPR and CCPA for all those cookie compliance and, you know, all of that privacy stuff. We have one tool that helps manage that, that's integrated. All of our, you know, data is flowing through, you know, from our servers to clouds to you know, our ERP system. So we spend time, you know, we securing those integrations. You know, we stress test them. You know, I'm part of our cyber council, and, you know, several times a year we're going through and or where's our data flowing, what systems is it touching, does sensitive data flow through there? And you really have to kind of perform a regular audit and, you know, have security tools in place. You know, my closest partner is our head of IT, because if, you know, something happens on my end that's related to fraud or, you know, a hacker, it's going to affect the rest of our company. And so we spend a lot of time doing, it's not the most glamorous part of the job, but, you know, auditing security, making sure we're up to date with the latest policies. We even run, you know, test exercises, what happens in an instance. So it's spending the time and carving out, you know, all right, these are the tools that we need to be successful, and, you know, making sure that the consumer trusts you. Because ultimately, if you have an incident, you're going to lose a lot of customers. You're going to drop, like, no matter what channel they're shopping on, if they know that you can't, you know, hold their data, or you're going to, you know, give away sensitive information, they're not going to come back. So it's a big priority, and, you know, one of those things that we take very seriously.
Yeah, that's the major hit. I think once the customer is lost, it's very difficult to regain, and the amount of cost you would just keep on promoting the customer would be so much higher to regain the customer back. So yeah, data security is coming on a very huge cost. Yes, with the data security now comes in AI, which again has a lot of things, compliance coming in. You have to make sure the policy is very stringent so that everything is kept to the company and it's not being utilized in any different role or way. So I would just quickly take a point here from you, and then we'll move on to questions. I can see there are a few questions. So can you talk about the crucial aspect of the role of artificial intelligence, AI, probably now moved on to generative AI too, in enhancing omnichannel strategies? Now we know that post-sale services is happening, customer services is happening via a lot of AI bots. It's happening through predictive analytics, sentiment analytics, voice assistance is coming. So how businesses can really leverage AI so that they do not leave the personalization also for customer, but they can really solve and save costs for businesses.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. It wouldn't be a digital webinar without discussing AI. So I knew we'd get here sooner or later. I think firstly, I've spent a lot of time meeting with different platforms and vendors, and, everyone has some version of AI, whether it's, large language models or just automations, they're calling it AI. So I think the first step is really, digging in when you're evaluating a vendor. Is this truly artificial intelligence, or is this something that's, more of a decision bot or something like that? So I'd start there, just make sure that you're getting true AI as built. But I think the big one, and it kind of relates to our last topic, is using it to analyze data. We have so many data sets from different sources, and I have one centralized BI team, which is very small, trying to do this for 4 brands, and it's like that's where AI becomes such a tool, because you can have it review the data, synthesize insights, do that predictive analytics on the customer data without having to sit there and do it yourself. You don't even need to know the questions sometimes. So, with some of these predictive analytics, they'll service you, hey, it looks like this SKU is not performing, or this product, this colorway isn't working well. You can use it in that way to help, determine is our product assortment, right? And then you could also use it on, the fraud front. And I've been meeting with a couple of teams and platforms where basically, they're reviewing on our customer data platform, customer data, customer actions, and like helping proactively determine, is this person making a purchase that they're just going to immediately return and try to create some sort of either credit card fraud or returns fraud. And so we're trying to get ahead of it on that front, pre-purchase and post-purchase. So again, I think analyzing, interpreting large data sets, synthesizing those insights, that's probably the biggest one for me, and the one that I'm pushing the most into and trying to stay on the forefront of. Content creation, that's another big one that I feel like everyone's pushing into. Is there ways that we can tweak content for ads? Is there copy that we could generate? And then the e-commerce team and marketing team, some of their job becomes more auditing versus like actually creating from scratch. So a lot of the content creation stuff will get you 90% there, but there's lots that can be done on that front. And then helping serve dynamic content. If you have those different variants, you can A/B test everything and determine which one works and really help optimize conversion rates. So that's a big one across channels that we spend time on. We touched on before that we have a virtual agent AI chatbot on our site that does not only does it do the customer service interactions, but it will actually do product recommendations. If you click in it, it'll you're going on a trip to Hawaii, I'm going hiking, what pair of shoes would be best? And it'll find it'll recommend a couple options for you. We've even worked with it. So the company we're working with is Sierra.ai. We were one of their first customers to pilot it. We're also starting to do we have our brand Olokai is very ingrained in Hawaii. We spend a lot of time there. We have a lot of guides. So we've actually built out travel guides in that AI agent. So if you go in there, you could ask it, hey, I'm going to Hawaii, I'm going to Maui. What are the best things I could do while I'm there? And it'll spit out personalized recommendations. And so we're trying to use it as a marketing tool as well as not just on the reactive customer service side. So I think that's more of the future, when we're going to a site and you talk about personalization, there's going to be ways that these tools can personalize exactly for you, or like knowing where you come from. If you're located in California and it's the middle of winter, it's like, all right, we're going to recommend some cozy slippers for you. But then if you're in a warm weather location, it's like, well, it's not going to recommend the same thing. So there's a lot of work being done with those virtual agents now. And then as we're talking AI, streamlining workflows and automating repetitive tasks. I mean, that's the biggest time saver. When you have lean teams that aren't, you want your team members spend time on more big picture and strategy focused items, and actually looking at the omni-channel journey. You don't want them to be doing autonomous, boring merchandising tasks or uploading products, or whether it's content uploads and things like that. So how can we leverage these tools to just fast track those type of things? Can we fill in metadata on products or alt image text? Those are all things that are pretty much out of the box with a lot of these AI, e-commerce platform helpers. And then I think I've hit a couple here. I think the processing data in real time, being able to quickly adapt strategies and markets, this really comes into place in my businesses. When you think about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you have a really small window to impact, your revenue for the entire year. So we're starting to we have our, AI tools in place to help, analyze, not only is how are our brands doing and what are we seeing as a trend across that, but what's also happening in the marketplace and the macroeconomic environment. Are we seeing our ad spend become inefficient? What are those type of things? So we're really trying to deploy it in a way to really be a tool, when things are really in crunch time. Because again, as much as we have a team that's on top of things, the AI is going to be able to process it much faster than any one person.
I think, and you said very correctly, AI is the top of town, and it is there to be here, and you need to really use it and grow with it. Otherwise, everyone would be left behind. So AI is the next. I think I don't want to call it, but it would be the future for technologies coming in.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're already there, and I think it's only improving. You think when ChatGPT came on the market, everyone was like, "Oh, this is fun. This is something cool to play with," or mid-journeys with the images. But really now it's, there's so many specific use cases and specific action-based bots that you can leverage in your day-to-day work. Like that's something even this Zoom that we're on right now, they have an AI transcription that I use in all of my meetings now. So rather than having someone take notes, it's like it gets about 95% of the way right. And I was like, all right, let's tweak this. And then you have a meeting minutes, and you can send it out to everyone on your team and make sure everyone's on the same page. So there's no shortage of use cases these days.
Yeah, and it's happening all across. It's not with one of certain type of folks, but it's for everyone, either from technology, from health, from business, or banking, finance, everything. Everywhere it's like getting, day by day, it's getting into the, I would say, folks and employees there. Thank you so much. I think that's wonderful insight from you, Dan, and I really hope the attendees must have gathered such insights very in a high manner. I'm really hopeful for that. So we have still 5 minutes to go, and I can see over the chat we have a few questions being there. So let me. I hope you can also see the question, right? So how can businesses effectively integrate offline and online channels to create a seamless omni-channel experience? Dan, you want to take that?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think we touched on it a little bit, during our discussion, but it's really starting with one, defining that brand, defining your audience, that's really gonna help lay out that strategy. And then, once you have, those brand sort of guidelines and what your audience is and what products you're selling, then you can take it to the digital side as well. Or what tools are we connecting across, whether it's between retail and our G2C website and a third-party marketplace, our customer data platforms, and then the messaging, as we talk about, like what is the offer and the price point, and how is it being communicated. I think gone are the days where we used to call it Big B brand. They would do their marketing. It's like, we're going to do a television campaign and it's going to be all about this. And it's like, all right, but that's just one piece of the puzzle now. Now we have that, we have online ads, we have email marketing. They all have to tell the same story. And so that's definitely the best place to start is, making sure, all of your teams are on the same page. They're doing handoffs for these go-to-market campaigns across offline and online, and truly having all those key stakeholders involved.
Cool. Next question, Dan, is what are the key features to look in from an e-commerce platform to support omnichannel selling? I think.
I think when you're evaluating e-commerce platforms, nowadays the first start is, what's the size of your business? What are the amount of sales you're having now? Are you looking to scale quickly? What are the regions you're looking to sell in? Different ones of these platforms are either made for big enterprise and some, can accommodate, small startups. I think, first figuring out like, all right, where are you going to be? And I think that kind of goes back to the positioning piece of, like what does your business look like? Who's your audience? Is it a very defined audience or is it, much bigger? And then for omnichannel, it's, do you want to use the same tools across, the e-commerce platform? Like I mentioned, we're big on Shopify because we use their POS, we use their web, their e-commerce platform, but we also use it to sell internationally. They have a markets feature where you can actually localize and sell products in different markets out of the same storefront and not needing a completely separate setup. And then there's also the B2B wholesale function too. So are you trying to unify everything across? And depending on the scale and size of your business, you'll have different needs. So I think it's really just trying to figure out, what is your core market and where are you going to sell to them, and that'll help influence what platform you choose.
Yep, right. And I think to have that omnichannel sort of support, I think we need to make sure that the out-of-box connectors, applications, easy to integrate, is like a quick job rather than redefining the code. So those sort of features, and now AI is coming in if they're already compatible with LLMs like ChatGPT or your Geminis. So that's the way these omnichannel can really give you a lot of leverage going ahead.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks, Dan. So could you mention a few effective marketing automation tools for enhancing an omnichannel strategy?
Yeah, so two of the ones that we use right now for marketing and engagement marketing, we're using Klaviyo for emails and Attentive for SMS text messages. They play really well with Shopify and talk to each other, and they have great automations out of the box. A lot of those consistent flows, whether it's post-purchase from someone who purchased on the website or in store, we have different post-purchase journeys that we put the customer through. And then, as far as, order tracking or letting customer know that their orders arrived in store, those are the type of things you do with that. And then the big one, our customer data platform right now we just transitioned to is called mParticle, and they're doing a really great job of kind of connecting the dots between these other platforms and taking our e-commerce and retail data all in one place to have that unified 360 view of the customer.
Right, so we are at the top of the hour, and that wraps our discussion for today. Dan, thank you everyone for joining us and for the attention for the complete throughout the session. We will try to find more insights for you and keep coming back to you for sharing our experience, and we will catch you soon. Thank you. Thanks, Dan, once again for your time, and it was lovely talking to you as it has always been. And let's hope we can talk more on coming days and weeks.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks everyone who came. It was a great chat, and looking forward to more of them.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.